Next game is another Pac-12 showdown. It is UCLA at Oregon State. Chip Kelly's teams, we always talk about offense, and Dante Moore, I think, will develop into a really nice quarterback for UCLA. But let's talk about UCLA's defense, because that's been sort of the underrated storyline this season. Number 14 in ESPN's SP Plus defensive success rate, 18 sacks this season. They are also first in the Pac-12 in rush defense, which is important because they are going to play an Oregon State team at the offensive line and running back position that ranks very high in the Pac-12. I think you can make case Oregon's offensive line is one of the better groups in the nation. I was curious because I was trying to think, when was the last time that UCLA went to Corvallis? It was 2015. It's been a long time since they've been to Corvallis. I was trying, you always think about these matches like, when was the last time these two teams played? How did it go? Yeah,
when Dorian Thompson-Robinson was a sophomore.
Right. You're right. But no, I think it just kind of the setup for this game is UCLA's defense has fared very well. D'Anton Lynn, their new defensive coordinator, has done a nice job. They held Washington State in check last week. Their front has been very active around the line of scrimmage, with getting to the quarterback and pressure, stopping the run. Can they do that again in Corvallis, where we saw Oregon State a few weeks ago beat Utah? Keep in mind, Utah had 7 sacks against UCLA. So there is an opportunity here for Oregon State's defensive front to get after Dante Moore and UCLA. In the big picture too, I think it's just one of those Pac-12 showdowns that we think we know maybe the top 3 or 4 teams, but that second tier, if any one of these teams wants to be a contender, these are the type of games they have to win. So Oregon State's beat Utah. If you beat UCLA, you're sort of inching up the conversation. And for UCLA, it'd be a chance to sort of look a little better after the Utah game. Of course, they beat Washington State, but this is a huge test on the road for UCLA.
Defensively, UCLA's numbers are like not safe for work. Like they're number 1 in the nation in yards per play defense, but 77 plays against Coastal Carolina and Grayson McCall, 345 yards, 4.4 yards per play. That was the most productive anyone has been against them the entire season. 4.4 yards per play, 345 yards. It goes down from there every week. It's ridiculous. It's been very impressive. Literally, the number of plays, the total yards, and the yards per play have gone down almost every single week they've played. Now, Utah was down to their third-string quarterback. I get that. I feel like that's the type of game we're going to get. They only gave up 102 yards rushing in that game. They gave up 12 last week to Washington State, 216 yards to Washington State, 219 yards to Utah. It's one thing to shut out North Carolina Central, but like it's a whole nother thing to keep 2 Pac-12 offenses, albeit without Cam Rising, to like a combined 400 yards in 2 games. And so here's another thing. People don't understand how physical this game's going to be if you don't watch Pac-12 football. I was in an Uber. I had to go get my car from the shop today. And I was in an Uber. And this guy was rattling off like he knew college football. And I love it when this happens. But Steven, this guy's like, man, they just don't play deep. This is why USC loses in bowl games all the time. And I was like, what? This is why USC loses in bowl games. I'm like, first of all, bowl games don't matter. That one didn't go over well. And he goes, no, they just don't play enough defense out there. And I said, watch UCLA and Oregon State this weekend and tell me what you think.
Or just watch Utah every week too.
Because Utah has no problem stopping USC with their defense. And I found myself as an SEC grad in SEC country talking to an SEC fan going like, dude, there are more than one good defensive team in the Pac-12 these days. It's not why Tulane beat USC. You know what I mean? Like there are some good defenses, and there's 2 of them that are on very real display. Oregon State's at home. Oregon State has one of the few offensive lines in this conference that can line up and down in, down out, protect the quarterback, and find room for Damien Martinez. Give me Oregon State at home. It's one of the few I like at home this weekend. I don't think the freshman quarterback goes on the road and is able to win.
Yeah, we saw what happened for UCLA's freshman quarterback on the road in Salt Lake City. I think Corvallis is going to be pretty hostile. I think I like UCLA's defense. I like what they've done so far. I think Oregon State probably the most balanced team so far they're going to play, though, as far as rushing, offensive line, quarterback. DJU had a great game last week at Cal. They gave up some too many yards and points to Cal that for my comfort, but I like Oregon State here at home.
Would they give up like 250 yards rushing to Cal? That's a weird stat right there.
They have not played well in Berkeley, so maybe there's something kind of weird to that, but I like Oregon State at home.
They've not played well in Berkeley, but they dropped a 50 burger last week, and DJ is playing the best football of his career. Damien Martinez, one of the most underrated running backs in all of college football, one of the best offensive lines in college football. I just, our Beavers, baby. We're contractually obligated to pick our Beavers. So Oregon State at home. You with me?
I'm with you. Give me Oregon State.